All right, I'm back. Man, I gotta tell you guys, Brian was supposed to come on. We've been dealing with some shitty ass technical difficulties, probably mostly on my end, but we've been trying to figure it out for like an hour. So I'm just recording from my phone now, so Brian couldn't come on, and it's late now. It's a fucking after 11 o'clock, which is way past my bedtime. So I'm going to try to get this done short and sweet for this week's matchup review. Um, First, we'll start with the awards. Shit start of the week was pretty much my whole team. I'm pretty sure Brian had Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he only got like 1.9 points. He's just been sucking it up this year. And I gave myself the Packers and Dan Bailey because they both got 0. So, yeah, great calls by me for those shit starts. And then performance of the week, I know Brian gave it to Robert Woods because he had a huge game and it ended up being the decision maker in whoever's matchup that was. I think it was for Bod and Leonard. My performance of the week was Brian actually starting Carlos Hyde because on Thursday night football, Carlos Hyde just had a child like a couple hours before and still made it to the game and really showed out for little Carlos Jr. That's what he's naming for. Carlos Hyde had 23.3 points. Should have pulled out. I know Brian gave it to Brandon Marshall because, I mean, who the fuck really is going to start Brandon Marshall? And I gave it to Tyler for starting Derrick Henry against the Jags D. What the fuck are you thinking, bro? Derrick Henry's not even the best running back on that team, and you're starting him against the best defense in the league. I don't have chocolate or poop because Brian was going to do that, so I don't have that for you. And then the Rodney King Award, worst beating, goes to Tyler at 42.8 points. So moving on, like I said, I want to get this done quick, guys. It's late. Me versus Brian, not much to say. I made what should have been some good lineup choices, but things just didn't work out in my favor. Latavius should have been a really good play against the Bills, but Kirk Cousins kept turning the ball over, and the Vikings fucking lost to the fucking Bills. So they didn't have the running the ball game script that would have worked for Latavius Murray. That's also why Dan Bailey didn't work, the newly acquired Vikings kicker. Packers were supposed to be a sneaky play, but fucking Alex Smith goosed their asses. I stand by saying that my team is not that bad, all right? This week they were, but overall I've put up some points in the first couple weeks. I'm not going to be worried until I'm maybe 0-5. Then it's probably over. But on Brian's side, he only had 4 guys in double digits. Bernard ended up being a good play, better than Latavius Murray, and he should probably trade Evans now while his value's high before Jameis makes his way back in the starting lineup, but I know he won't do that. But anyway, yeah, his lineup was good enough to beat me. Moving on, Andrew versus Ray, the battle of the brother-in-laws. Ray finally hit that rookie wall I was talking about last week. And ironically enough, that wall was Andrew, who did the same thing last year. Andrew's team just did really well. Oh, it was Robert Woods on Andrew's team, not the for Bob Leonard matchup, but Robert Woods' play ended up really working for him because he was the highest score he had at 28.7. Really, his only bad start was old Will Disley, Big Montana. But he had consistent play from all his guys across the board. Ray had some decent scores from half his team, but no one even in the 20s, and he didn't break 100. And if you don't break 100 in this league, you don't win more often than not. Moving on, Tyler versus Dustin. The old Pittsburgh Feelers really put a hurting on the Panty Raiders thanks to a combined 67 points from his Saints combo, Breeze and Kamara. Man, it really helps my Michael Thomas too. But throw in a double-digit score from 5 other guys on his team, and that sounds like a pretty good recipe for success. I'm pretty sure Dustin had the highest score of the week. My one surprise was that Dustin actually played Chris Ivory against the Vikings D. Unreal that he was even played, let alone had success putting up 14 points against that defense. Tyler didn't have a bad day. I think he was around 115, but he just couldn't overcome that New Orleans stack that Dustin has. He had double digits almost all the way around, so his team should be all right. We'll see when the more weeks come. So moving on, these next 3 matchups, I didn't write anything because Brian was supposed to do these. So I'll start with Cheese versus Augie. You know, the one thing I had written down about this matchup is how Cheese last week talked about how great his wide receiver core was. Best in the league, he said, but they combined for a nice total of 24 from 3 receivers. Yeah, that's the fucking bet. Oh, I guess if he wants to throw Godwin in there, that brings it up to 38. 38 points from 4 receivers. That's an average of below 10. That's a great wide receiver core you got there, Cheese. If they were so good, you wouldn't have lost by only 3.6 points. That's got to hurt. Let me look at your bench. Did you have better options? Not really. Oh, maybe at tight end. Yeah, if you would have played Ricky Seals, you would have won. But overall, your team's just trash. Augie's team is looking strong, especially with that trade we had today. He had good scores all around. Well, Kenyon Drake sucks, but he just upgraded him to Zeke. Lost Thielen, but he's got Jordy. If Jordy stays consistent, we'll see about that too. But you can always find receivers more than running backs, so good trade for Augie. Shit trade for shit. Good old shit trades himself. Moving on, the next matchup was the Battle of the Gators. Speaking of John, an older brother put a little whooping on little brother, just how it should be. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, Steven had the big Matt Ryan 40-point game. You know, I didn't mention Matt Ryan or Drew Brees in performance of the week because those are just kind of obvious. They both put up over 40, but you know, Steven has Matt Ryan and Saquon going for over 20. John has Patrick Mahomes, and he just traded away his other best player. Yeah, I don't know what he must be trying to lose. You don't get the number 1 pick if you become in last place, John. And then moving on to the last matchup, probably the matchup of the week, the Battle of the Old Roommates. Another really close one, 3.2, so it's the closest match of the week. So yeah, Leonard, you came close. Furbad's team was looking really strong. That's really what I take away from this. Even with Kirk Cousins sucking and only getting 10 points, he still was able to beat you. Yeah, Brandon Marshall was a poor choice. It's that Seahawks love you have. Look at that Calvin Ridley, 37 on your bench. That's got to hurt. And Furbad he'll probably be even better when Edelman comes back, but I don't know. Patriots look a little rough. All in all, you know, close matchup, good matchup, but the better team won, and I think Furbad is going to be tough to beat. I'm pretty sure there's other stuff Brian told me to say. I can't remember it all, so I'll just move on to the matchups of next week. I'm 0-3. I'm facing Steven, and I guarantee a victory this week. Guarantee. I'm the underdog. I don't care. I guarantee it. John versus Dustin. John has no chance. Dustin's going to rape him worse than Augie raped him on that trade. Andrew versus Augie. It's pretty tough, but I got to go Augie. Augie's got a strong team, especially with his newly acquired running back. Ray versus Brian. This one's tough. A little bit of a toss-up. Ray is the favorite. I'm going to go Ray just because fuck Brian. For Bod, 3-0 versus Tyler, 1-2 is actually projected to be a really close matchup. I know Bod didn't have his whole lineup in there, but I kind of just gave him some points, and he still would be the favorite, but it's still projected pretty close. I gotta go for Bod. I mean, you can't pick against Gurley until we see otherwise. And finally, Cheese versus Leonard. Cheese's team is ass, as we all have noticed. So I'll give it to Leonard. He's the favorite anyway. That's it, guys. Really quick. Hopefully I can get all these technical difficulties figured out by next week, and Brian might actually join me. Till next time, out.